there, and thanks for joining us on Chicago Tonight Black Voices. I'm Angel Ito. Brandis Friedman has the evening off. On the show tonight, what young people in Chicago hope to see from their new mayor. Resources for citizens returning from incarceration. And what's being done to make the tech field more inclusive and equitable. And memories of a school field trip shape a subversive play at Northwestern's Wirtz Center.
The hand movements and the finger spelling is just fascinating to me.
And meet the man behind the hands teaching sign language at a Southside library. All of that coming up, but our first story tonight, what young Chicagoans hope to see from Mayor Brandon Johnson. That's right after this.
Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
The future of Chicago is now in the hands of Brandon Johnson as he gets sworn in as mayor on Monday. And a lot of issues will be awaiting Chicago's 57th mayor, including choosing the city's next police superintendent, a growing migrant crisis, and concerns about crime as summer approaches. Now, we spoke with some of Chicago's younger residents to hear about what they want to see from their next mayor and the future direction of the city. Joining us are 14-year-old Keziah Burks from West Garfield Park, 20-year-old Chase Irvin, a prevention specialist with Build Chicago, and an Austin resident and 17-year-old Kenton London. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So let's get right into it. Chase, let's start with you. What do you want to see from the new administration coming into office?
First, I would like to see change. That's something that's very big on the west side of Chicago and for the people that live in Chicago. As being that I grew up in Chicago all my life, all I've been hearing is that we want to see change. And so most people, they say they can do change but haven't really been able to do it. So that now we're put into a position office where we have somebody that we really is behind. We would love to see change. We would love to see the commitment that you really want to honor these people's words and create change.
Absolutely. Keziah, let's jump to you. You're the youngest panelist here, which is awesome. So happy to have you here. But tell us, what concerns would you say amongst your peers specifically are you hoping that the Johnson administration will address?
Well, as I am a high school student, I asked a few of my peers what they would like to see. And what I would like to see, I would like to see more opportunities for us where we can just go and get what we need, more safe things to do in our city and to explore our community.
You feel like you don't have access to those resources currently?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Why do you feel like that is?
Well, I feel as if that there is so much going on in our city, and that with all of the gun violence and everything that is going on around us, it is hindering us from becoming what we could be. And I feel that if we had the opportunities and the connections where everyone had it, the city will look better as a whole, and us young people, we can turn into better people ourselves.
Yes. Kenton, let's jump to you. What do you think about more investment in, what do you think about more investment in education for young people? What do you think that would do for not only the youth, but the city?
I think that would be ultimately a world changer. If we're looking at it, educating the youth is educating the next generation of leaders, educating the next generation of environmentalists, activists, entrepreneurs. So if we took just a bit more time and giving the youth and educating the youth, not only in academics, but in street and lifestyle, right, we would ultimately have a different world.
What does some of those investments look like specifically? What specific areas do you think need more attention?
I think the specific areas that needs more attention would be literally education, academics, more investments into schools and programs that help cultivate the new minds of the next generation, after school programs, summer programs. like colleges, they go off and they do abroad studies. Those opportunities for youth would be, I think, an excellent investment.
Jumping gears a little bit, Chase, I want to go back to you. How do you think the city's police department could strengthen their relationship with Chicago's youth?
I think they can strengthen their relationship by doing what Build Chicago has been doing a great job of. Every event we have, we make sure that we reach out to a district, whether it's 15th district or anyone in the near area, and we have events surrounding police so that kids can now have a one-on-one conversation with the chief or the commissioner and just have that one-on-one bond so that they know that the people that are serving to protect us are actually here for us.
Absolutely. And Keziah, I know that we've been seeing a lot of youth downtown recently in big groups, referred to as trends, and the city responded by kind of enforcing curfews. Do you think that this is the best solution? And if not, what do you think would be a better alternative?
Well, I do believe that the curfews are a step towards ending the trends, but I do believe that the trends happen because we aren't busy as young people, if that makes sense. I believe that if we were busy doing good things, doing what we love, whether it's like doing an internship or having a job to go to or a sport or some community event, then I think that those trends would change and become trends for better.
I want to jump back to you, Kenton, really quickly because I just mentioned a great point. What do you see the value in investing in infrastructure, specifically spaces outside of school that give students or youth a place to congregate and be outside of school?
I think that is a great idea. I think that holds great value. Occupying the youth and giving them the right resources or the right opportunities to use their time to make good for not only themselves but for others. I think that would be a great idea. And investing in infrastructures or buildings that can host programs like summer programs or host programs like the after school program, as Chase has mentioned, like Build is currently doing right now within Chicago, would be beyond or very, very close to a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. Chase, would you like to share a little bit more about resources that Build provides to ensure that Chicago's youth have a space to be outside of just outside?
Absolutely. So Bill has a lot of different programs. So we see that nowadays kids are really starting to lean more into their artistic side. So there's a lot of kids that love to draw, do graffiti, do tattoos, love bright colors. So we have an art program that we are in the works of trying to get it to extend from 4 p.m., which is after school hours, to 12 a.m. So we're trying to extend those hours so that now kids have longer to do what they love. We also have a media program because a lot of kids are really focusing into social media. So we're leaning into more podcasts, helping kids become more entrepreneurs if they want to start branding themselves on YouTube. We also have a studio to help kids, like if they want to really lean into music and they want to value themselves or market themselves as a rapper or as an R&B singer or anything that inspires with music if it comes from producing, mixing, and mastering. They make sure that we have every single thing in the right direction to push them. So those are a couple programs that we have right now that we are trying to extend longer to keep kids more engaged and not really outside doing things, following the wrong path.
Now, Keziah, you, with being one of the younger panelists, you and your peers are not able to drive. So that means you're relying oftentimes on public transportation to get to these places that are offering these resources. But we find that they are often dangerous. So how do you feel about creating resources that allow for more safe public transportation?
Well, I believe that it is very important to have a good way of transportation. My parents, I am blessed enough to have parents who can drive me, but sometimes I see that my friends who don't have that, they miss out on a lot of opportunities where they can better themselves or better what they're trying to do for the community and for what they love. So I feel that if they had the transportation in a safe way where they can go to where they need to go, then they can have those opportunities and then become a better them.
Yes, that's fantastic. Well, we are out of time. Our thanks to Kenton London, Keziah Burks, and Chase Irvin. Now, Cameron Huckleby is on the road home after incarceration, and he's on the road to helping others do the same as a reentry navigator and training with the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. Now, in that role, he'll be connecting other returning residents to resources like job opportunities. Now, as a part of WTTW's ongoing initiative, Firsthand Life After Prison, we spoke with Huckleby about this experience.
I was fresh, out of Cook County Jail and was basically working on being back stable. And I knew Frankie for over 10 years at this point. He was actually coming to visit me inside the jail. And when I came home, he introduced me to the program. So I wanted to, just like I say, basically be stable. I had 2 children and just get my life back on track. We need resources and people that'll really show you that they care, and like the support, because you could feel like you don't have anyone, like when you come from out of that place, and if you feel like you don't have anyone, it could easily put you back in that situation. The most important thing is digging deep within yourself and what are your dreams, goals, and aspirations, and what do you want to do for yourself, and that's basically it. Once you figure that out, the world is yours and the sky's the limit.
Now, the Frankie Cameron Huckleby mentioned in his mentor, Francisco Perez. Watch this weekend's Latino Voices to hear what Perez had to say about helping returning residents thrive. And there's much more on WTTW's Firsthand Life After Prison initiative on our website. That's at WTTW.com/firsthand. Back with more Chicago Tonight Black Voices right after this. Memories of a 5th grade field trip to Gettysburg are at the subversive but comedic heart of the play Underground Railroad Game at the Wirt Center next week. Now, the play touches on heavy themes like race, power, sex, and the American psyche, but its creators saying it'll also make you laugh.
So I grew up in central Pennsylvania, and it's a small town called Hanover, Pennsylvania, real town. We would take field trips to Gettysburg where there was lots of reenactment and games, and one of the games we played was this game called the Underground Railroad Game, which they set up, and they basically had us sneaking these dolls around, and the Confederate soldiers had to capture the dolls, and the Union soldiers had to sneak the dolls in their backpacks and under their shirts to the different safe houses in the classrooms. And
it's an all-white school, I think is an important thing to say.
Pretty much an all-white school, yeah. And so I told this story to Jen in 2012 or 2013.
I remember saying, I was like, I think that's the craziest shit I've ever heard. That is just wild. And so I was floored, and we came up with these teacher characters, and so from a place of okay, kind of craven pedagogy, what else might these people do? And how else might they be treating history from a place of an inability to actually really contend with it. If I'm gonna make it all the way to Canada from Hanover, I'm gonna need some help.
Do you Hanover Middle School students want to help teacher Caroline get to freedom? All right!
It's a tricky play to describe. The fictions are a romance and a school and some dramas that are happening parallel to each other.
And I think the running theme is competition. There's the competition between the students, and there's, I would say, a competition between, or a competitive edge between the teachers as well. That's part of the larger critique,
Now, Underground Railroad Game is in a limited run at Northwestern's Wirt Center for the Performing and Media Arts, May 18th through the 20th. Visit our website for details about tickets. Now, the tech industry is facing a diversity gap in its workforce. And a study by the Caper Center and the NAACP finds that between 2014 and 2021, the industry produced only a 1% increase in black representation within technical roles in large tech companies. Now, black talent represents only 3.7% of those roles, despite accounting for 13% of the U.S. labor force. Joining us now with more are Bronsky Armstrong, Senior Software Engineer and Engineering Manager at the trading firm DRW, and Jasmine Shells, co-founder and CEO of the software company 5to9. Thank you guys both so much for joining us. So let's get right into it. Bronsky, let's start with you. Why do you think an emphasis on diversity within the tech industry specifically is important, especially looking at the need for diversity in every area?
Well, technology is a part of every company nowadays. Every firm is a tech firm. So if we're going to tackle diversity overall in the industry, tech is a good place to start. In addition to that, technology is the newest kind of like innovation factor in businesses. So it seems like it's a good place to start to actually give people more opportunities.
Absolutely. Jasmine, let's jump to you. What would you say are some barriers that exist that might lead to a lack of representation that's not being reported?
Yeah, one thing is that there's an extreme lack of measurement. So, for instance, over 90% of the Fortune 500 have diversity programs, but less than 10% of them have any way to track if those programs are successful or not. So for the fact that there's no technology or no software that's measuring this work, is very hard to justify its importance at moments.
Wow, that's very interesting. Now, Bronsky, I understand that your company has an apprenticeship program, and how would you say that this program and others like it can help close the gap?
Yes, so the apprenticeship program is on-the-job training. However, with technology, you need a little bit of skill ahead of time just to be on site. So we offer a 18-month program. People who matriculate through the program have an opportunity to get a job at DRW. However, we feel the skills we're teaching them provide them opportunities to find jobs anywhere in Chicago after they graduate and sets them up for a future in technology, which is a burgeoning and growing field.
Just going off of what Jasmine mentioned, are you able to give us an idea of what those numbers look like in terms of the impact that your apprenticeship program is offering?
Sure thing. So we have a case of the apprenticeships that we currently have. We have 2 cohorts on site. Out of the 14 people, at least half are people of color, over half are women. We try to make sure that we focus on people who are in underrepresented communities, underserved communities. It doesn't mean that they are we don't particularly try to limit our grasp or limit the opportunities to anyone, but if we focus in those areas, we find people will come.
Jasmine, how would you say as a black woman in tech has guided the work that your company has done?
Absolutely. So, what led me to start my company was I was a leader of a diversity program. And so, when it came to performance review time, I had no way to really measure the work and kind of get that promotion or raise that I deserved. And that's when I realized, hey, even when there's layoffs, we're seeing in our customers that a lot of diversity inclusion leaders are being laid off because there's no way to measure the work. So since we really believe in the importance of diversity and inclusion, we're trying to give ammo and more measurement to the space so that we can actually keep people in those roles and make sure that they get the promotions they deserve.
Bronsky, going back to you, how do you think that the lack of diversity in tech influences the work that's done or even in workplace culture?
That's a pretty, that's a subject that's been touched upon a lot. Just talking about ChatGPT and other AI innovations as of late, we kind of understand and have heard kind of like how we've taught biases to AI. I think in the case of like having a more diverse workforce, those things are called earlier. We actually kind of speak up. We have an opportunity for feedback sooner, and that we kind of eliminate those kind of embarrassing moments.
Jasmine, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think one thing that we're really seeing within the tech space is the importance of not only having diversity within the actual organizations, but even the founders of those organizations being diverse, right? Because it's an ecosystem. But right now, less than 1% of VC funding goes to black founders, right? For black women, it's actually 0.0006% have raised over $1 million. So, that is, I think, also a really big gap that we're seeing. It's not just about the companies itself, it's also about the people who are founding those companies.
And that was 0.0006.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I know.
a small portion.
Right, and even as of 2020, June of 2020, Chicago NO put out this report of the black founders who had raised over $1 million. And there were, guess how many on there? 9, right? So
out of how many?
Like, that was it. That was 9 total
Oh.
for the whole city of Chicago that had raised over $1 million, even though we're 30% of the population. So there's a huge gap when it comes to equity and funding currently.
Wow. Bronski, going back to you, I meant to ask this when you were talking about the apprenticeship program, but what advice would you have for maybe folks that are looking to get into tech and don't know how to get started?
Sure. Grit, perseverance, problem solving. These are all things that we look for in the apprenticeship program. We actually don't look at resumes. We try to listen to their experience in other areas and try to determine those characteristics, because we find that those are things that transcend in any discipline, any work, but especially technology. Stick with it.
Mm-hmm. How about you with your company as well?
Yeah, I think one thing that is so important, definitely for not just underrepresented, but we kind of shifted it to say underestimated, right? Founders or even people who are looking to get into tech, is to know your receipts, right? You have to know all the accomplishments that you've had to date that really, give you that seat at the table. So it's having that confidence to know the work you've done and you've put in, and knowing that you belong there, and there's no reason to have imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Bronski, how would you say that companies can improve workplace diversity and ensuring that their employees are actually thriving?
Sure. Just listen, right? So starting the apprenticeship programs started because DRW felt the need from its employees to do something. This started in the summer of 2020, and we started an apprenticeship program with a team of individuals, all like-minded individuals that want to take action, want to do something for the company, for the community, and that's what we did. So just listen to your employees.
And what specific programs do you all have in place with your company as well to ensure that your employees are feeling heard, received, and are progressing?
Yeah, one of our corporate values, or startup values, I should say, we're a team of 11, so we're small, is collaboration, right? So no matter if you're a junior engineer, right, or if you're my co-founder, everyone has the ability to speak to the ideas that they have, because the way that we build this company and this culture is through collaboration. So that's a really big value of ours, and we built that together as a team.
Wow, that's fantastic. Jasmine, I know that your work also involves bringing in investors and raising money for your company, and you've been able to raise millions. What would you say was a major lesson that you learned there when looking at outside companies investing?
Right. So like we've raised almost $6 million to date. And I think the biggest thing that I learned when it comes to bringing on partners, or it comes to bringing on team members, for investors in particular, you have to work with those who believe what you believe. And they have to believe in you. Because when times get tough, when there's a recession, when there's a pandemic, and building a startup is hard. You need people who are going to have your back. So we really picked investors, and they picked us because we had aligned vision in building better workplaces, more diverse workplaces. So yeah, pick people who believe in you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much. That's all the time that we have. Our thanks to Bronski Armstrong and Jasmine Shells. And up next, a sign to stop in at the Southside Library. Chicagoans can learn all kinds of things for low or no cost at public libraries across the city, including a beginner-friendly course in American Sign Language taught by a lifelong resident. Producer Erica Gunderson met up with Mr. Jerry Bowen at the Thurgood Marshall branch in Auburn Gresham. Now he says if you'd like to learn the basics of sign language, he'd love to give you a hand.
Hello. That's how I introduce the class. When I open the class, I'll say hello.
Every Tuesday afternoon at Thurgood Marshall Library, retiree Jerry Bowen signs hello to the sign language class he's taught remotely for 3 years.
I feel like I'm at basic level, but I know enough to teach somebody who's at zero. Hey? Because I try to let the students help. I don't just talk to them. Try to get them to participate, join in, help out, help each other, make it interesting.
Bowen says he first became fascinated with sign language by seeing it on TV, but he didn't expect to ever learn it. That changed when he saw a flyer for a class at the library taught by Miss Bernice McAfee.
I walk in the door, I don't know if I'm in the right place, I'm nervous, I'm starting something new, can I do this, and all this stuff going through my head. And here's this little old lady 90 years old, standing up there talking. Got a little wig on, he's kind of twisted, you know. So I walk in and she just told some kind of little funny joke. And she starts laughing, and her teeth almost fell out. And when she got through laughing and ran back and patted her stomach and said, ooh, put her teeth back in, so, that's good for my health.
Bowen says he attended Miss McAfee's class for years, and then she handed him the torch in 2020.
So she says, I'm not going to be coming much longer. And you're going to have to start doing the class. She drafted me. I was drafted. She passed away about 2 months after that. And here I am, still here.
Bowen says anyone who's interested in a basic course is welcome to join him.
Some come one time, some come for a few months, and just keep coming. I've had a couple of people come in that knew way more than I did. I guess that's why they didn't come back. Ooh, that's good for my health. Thank you.
For Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, this is Erica Gunderson.
Now, Bowens adds that he would love for more experienced signers to join his class. We have more information on how to register on our website. And that's our show for this evening. If you're watching us on Friday night, know that you can also catch Black and Latino Voices on Saturdays beginning at 6 p.m. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, Black Voices, I'm Angelito. Have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a proud sponsor of diversity, equity, and inclusion-focused free continuing legal education for lawyers throughout the region.